Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Red Pill Podcast number 117. We have a lot to get into today. We had an incredible end of the week in crypto, and it is continuing into this weekend. So we have a lot to go over in the charts, and we will be covering 5 different altcoins today, touching on Stellar Lumens, Zen Crypto, which I have not looked at in the past. We also have Cardano, OX Protocol, and Monero. Going to be going over a privacy coin. So I hope you guys are having an incredible weekend so far. Go ahead and get relaxed, get comfortable, grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea if it's the morning time, or a glass of wine or a beer or any beverage of your choice. And let's just jump straight into it. Again, if you are new here to the Wolfpack, welcome. So great to have you here with the family. And if you have yet to get access to our Discord server, just go ahead and give me a direct message over on Patreon with your Discord username and the last 4 numbers after that Discord username, and I will reply back to you in a Patreon message with the Discord server invite. And let's do a little bit more when it comes to commenting the projects that you guys would like me to look over next week. We didn't get as many comments this week, and we had an incredibly active and bullish market during the week, so we should definitely have some submissions and mix it up a little bit. Let's go over some different projects. Again, all you have to do is comment in this Patreon post with the project name and the ticker symbol, and as long as it has about a year to a year and a half of data, that's about as, limited as the data I could work with to fully analyze the project and share my thoughts on it. But typically 2 to 3 years is really helpful, and then we can go over those coins. And again, I like to mix things up a bit, try to give it at least 3 months in between the last time that I reviewed a project, and you could always use the search function over in our Discord server to determine when the last time I reviewed a coin. It's as easy as typing in the search in Discord my name, WatersAbove, and you'll see my account show up. And then after you do that, just type in the name of the project, press enter, and then it will show you all the times that I wrote out the project, and that's typically when I cover them in Red Pill Podcast. So that's the easiest way to do it. Well, without further ado, let's just get straight into this episode. But one moment before I start, I just got to take a sip of water. Okay, a little stuffy in my house today. It's very, very hot out and humid. So bear with me, but my voice is feeling very relieved. I was unable to do the live stream yesterday, and it gave my voice some time to just heal and recover, which is a very good thing. I had some obligations I needed to tend to, and perhaps maybe sometime during this week we can get to a live stream midweek. No promises just yet, but I do have something special to announce a little bit later, and gonna have a really nice start to the month of July. Let's just say that. But let's jump straight into the code here. I do have a full presentation to share with you guys for this Red Pill Podcast 117. So definitely make sure to take some notes. And I think this podcast that we're doing today is going to be very, very important because it sort of recaps things that have been spoken about maybe 3 months ago, 3.5 months ago. And as time goes by, it's easy to forget. It's easy to, maybe have some things just float away, and we tend to, need to be reminded. And I think this is a good opportunity today for me to go back to a moment that was very odd for the crypto market and finances as a whole, especially for retail banking. And we saw how things were ritualized, and we're going to be connecting the dots today, as we always do. I got so much amazing feedback from the last Red Pill when we were talking about the NBA Finals and how we tied all that in. So I've been definitely listening to your feedback. I read all the comments. I really appreciate you guys letting me know any of your thoughts, and please continue to let me know how you feel about these decodes. It's really motivating me to get more and more dialed in the way that I'm designing my decoding mastermind course, which hopefully comes out in a couple months. And I'm really putting in a lot of effort to simplify this code for everyone and to give you guys a holistic and utilizable strategy. I think today will be very, very important for those of you that are now finally kind of catching up to some of the method to my madness. And you're seeing how we're able to tie this code in through what happens exoterically on the world stage and then apply it to whatever the numbers we're getting, the words, the keywords, and then figuring out how it applies to the future. And this is what we're able to determine what's to come next. So we just had the 25th week of the year. It was June 19th through today, Sunday, June 25th. And this number 25 was so important this entire year because we were in the year of the rabbit, and rabbit giving us this 25 code. I was telling you guys this would be important for the market, especially cryptocurrency, because crypto giving you that 25 in Chaldean, as well as BTC giving you that 25. And we had this all coded to the rabbit year in the Chinese zodiac. And here we are. We made it through the 25th week of the year, which was the week of the summer solstice. And we saw Bitcoin break out from 25,000. Let me go over to the Bitcoin chart. Speaking of 25, pretty much, let me remove this. We had off of these lows pivoting up from the 25K range up to 31,000, actually breaking into a new microcycle high. Shows you how important that 25th week of the year was. And we officially made that new microcycle high on June 23rd. Of course, that big 23. We talk about that number a lot, especially tied back to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin equals 23 Chaldean. And we're in the Hebrew year 5,783. Adds up to 23. Going to be bringing up these things a lot today. But speaking of June 23rd, I was just giving you a little bit of data on the number 23. Well, June 23rd was also a 72 date numerology, and that of course comes back to Bitcoin in just English ordinal 72. Okay, now remember how last week we kept talking about the number 68 and the mirror of that number 86, and that tied back to Mercury. By the code, you have that 86, and the mirror being 68, and Mercury's other name is Hermes, 68. And this has everything to do with fiat money, which is the Federal Reserve System, and this has to do with money created out of thin air. This is where we're tying in the mythology to all of this, and that's what really makes our system so useful. And it really works because that's how this world stage operates. The people who so-called run the world are running it through the mythological stories. So if you take from June 23rd, the date that we were just talking about, and you connect it to Rosh Hashanah, which is September 17th, we're going to do 9/17, and you're going to see that is exactly 86 days apart. Another 68, 86, and remember, Rosh Hashanah, the date is a 68 date numerology. So it really makes so much sense to me why this year we're having so many 68 and 86 rituals. I'll show you. If you take from the day of the prior microcycle high for Bitcoin, which was April 14th, and you go over to the day of this breakout into the prior trading range highs, it was 68 days. Now, I've been telling you guys a lot of these 68 connections dealing with XRP. And if we measure some of these dates with Bitcoin, I'm actually finding the same patterns. So in the last Red Pill podcast and in my last YouTube video, I talked all about the number 68 in that gem that I exposed. So definitely rewatch those if you haven't already. That will fill you in on everything regarding that code. So over the past couple days, I've had a lot of people reaching out to me about this eanGate submersible that imploded, taking the lives of 5 occupants on board, and was discovered on June 22nd. And a lot of people have been asking me about this because I did make a bunch of Titanic decoding stuff in this year. Pretty much I brought it up for maybe 4 to 5 months straight. Now that this event's happened, I've had people reaching out to me to tell me about this, and now I am really just, it's mind-blowing stuff. So let me break down a couple of the most obvious things. If you remember, the Titanic started sinking on April 14th, this 4/14 date that we were actually just talking about before. Remember, Bitcoin had its microcycle top on April 14th. No longer, but that was the prior date. And this date to the 15th was the time frame of that event, of that ritual back in 1912. So if you go back to 1912, you're going to see, bringing that to this year, you get 111 years. And that was the big decode that I shared, that 111. Now, if you connect from April 14th over to this 22nd date, let me just show you really quickly, because now we're talking about this Titan submersible. You're going to see that it was 69 days. This is where it starts to get really mind-blowing. From the date of the start of that so-called ritual over to the day of this Titan submersible being discovered, you could see right there on June 22nd, it gives you this 69 days connection. Now, remember, Silicon Valley Bank failed on March 10th. March 10th was the 69th day of the year. So there's a lot going on in this 69 code. I believe I've spoken about it many times. The number 69 and 96. You had the Queen of England die at 96 years old. Bitcoin's all-time high is 69,000. Silicon Valley Bank failed on the 69th day of this year. And here you go. From the 111th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic, over 69 days later, you have this exact ritual of the Titan submersible. It's pretty mind-blowing. So it shows you how this number 69 is continually showing up over and over and over again through ritual. And this was all tied to this recent summer solstice. Now, why this is like almost scary is because if you go back to my YouTube channel, about 3 months ago, I made a video called XRP is Waking Up. And we talked about this 58-cent price for XRP and how that was something to consider highly because XRP, again, equals 58 by the code. We actually saw that come to fruition. We watched XRP hit 58 cents on the nose, and then magically on this 5/8 date, May 8th, which is a 5/8, we got the local bottom so far in the structure. I mean, another mind-blowing, way that the code expresses itself. Again, XRP equaling 58. We have the 58-cent high, and then at the low on May 8th, 5/8, as above, so below. Now, this video I have in the thumbnail, you can see the Titanic and this famous Titanic movie scene, and then in the middle of it you have the May Queen from the movie Midsummer, and that was the festival of the summer solstice. So how insane is that? I'm honestly mind blown by this. We are so dialed into this code, it's almost scary. So you gotta love this decoding system we have. So now that this all went down, I think it's important that we utilize this data to apply to the future. So let's do it. We will take from the day that this eanGate voyage started, which was on June 18th. And we're actually going to measure over the 68 to 69 days. And we'll just keep it simple and keep it at that 69. And it's going to show you that it is August 26th. Now, we're going to bring this over to the day that it was discovered, the wreckage. And that's going to show you 69 days connected to August 30th. Now, where did you guys hear about that date? So if you remember, around the same time I was making the sell in May and go away Decoded, I brought up that date to expect a ritual specifically tied to Joe Biden and how I expected it to happen on August 30th through September 1st. And it could perhaps be a death ritual date. Now, I came up with this date from taking 81 days before his 81st birthday. So you can see currently 80 years old, birthday of November 20th. Let me just show you this really quickly. We have 11/20. And if we take 81 days before his 81st birthday, it gives you August 31st. Now, what's really special about this is the day before gives you an 81 date numerology. And we were just talking about that big 81. Now, 8118, this is tied to this year specifically through the rabbit, which has a symbolism tied back to Venus. And you see that 8118, and that connection was with the Chaldean of 25, like rabbit is 25. But anything with this 25 code was significant this year, as I said to you many times, just like we had in the 25th week of this year, Bitcoin breaking out from 25,000 up to new microcycle highs. It's pretty obvious that anything with 25 is important in the rabbit year. Now, with Joe Biden turning 81, and this, I believe that information was shared in the Sell in May and Go Away Decoded, or it was at least shared in my follow-up to that, which was called World Reserve Decoded. And by the way, for people that are newer here and people that did not get around to watching that decode, we've seen many comments of people saying, well, Sell in May and Go Away didn't happen. But they disregarded the fact that 2 weeks after we made that decode in advance, we were trying to find why that wasn't the case this year. It's like a lot of people did not catch that point, but you could hear in every podcast that I did around that time frame, I was continuously trying to find flaws, and that's what makes us stronger decoders. It's not just settling on one thing after a little bit of research and a decode that we prepare. It's about trying to continuously find what's wrong with the thesis, and that's what that second follow-up decode was all about. That's what the World Reserve Decoded was all about. And it was originally going to be called World Reserve Julius, and it had everything to do with the month of July and August. So anyways, I know that anyone who actually follows along and watches the decodes and take notes, you get it. You know what's going on here. And you're aware that I didn't sell anything after my accumulations back in March. I have yet to, because I have my own investment thesis and I'm waiting for my price targets to hit. So I had the patience and I was willing to wait it out. And here we are. And we have Bitcoin trading back right pretty much where it was before the eclipse. It's just about patience, and a lot of people lack that. And now I hope after these decodes have come out and you guys have been following along past couple months, you can see the merit in keeping your emotions on the sidelines and continuing to strengthen your decoding skills or your technical analysis skills or just your research skills. Either of that stuff will make you a much better investor. But getting back to this code of 81 days before Joe Biden's 81st birthday, and how this was all tied in to the date of August 30th and August 31st. So that's how I came up with that. Now, let me slow down real quick. You just saw how this date of August 30th is tied to June 22nd, the day the Titan submersible was discovered by 69 days, which was 69 days after the 111th anniversary of the start of the sinking of the Titanic. So I know this is really mind-blowing stuff, and now we're bringing in this August 31st date because, again, it's 69 days after that event. So just keep this in mind, this time frame between August 30th through September 1st, we have another piece of data to help us along with confirming that a big event should happen around then. So a couple things to mention going to our weeks of the year, because we've been really enjoying doing that over the past couple of years. This is a strategy I've been utilizing in my decoding system that really works. And you have between August 30th through September 1st is in the 35th week of the year. Now, remember how my last YouTube video, I spoke about Lionel Messi being 35 years old when winning the World Cup for Argentina. And that was the same age as Andrew Tate at pretty much the same time frame, and how they were both ritualized during that same exact year. You had one of them ritualized in a very positive way as Lionel Messi, the Messiah. And then you have Andrew Tate being sacrificed, essentially having everything taken from him and his platform taken from him and his voice being taken from him, etc. Now, again, we're not giving any of our prana to this bread and circus. We're just decoders here, and we're seeing how this exoteric popular stuff on the world stage can be utilized by us as decoders to see what's coming next. So Just want to be very clear about that. I'm sure most of you here as Mastermind community supporters know where we stand on all of this. But I think this number 35 that we're bringing up is crucial, especially because this eanGate company equals 35. Now, they also equal 71, just like the day of June 22nd was a 71 date numerology. And Titan, the name of the submarine, is also giving you that 71 in the reverse cipher. And you could also see how between the first day of September, which is a 17 date numerology, and this also having a 17 date numerology, is 71 days. Again, giving me a lot of feelings that September 1st is also equally as important as the 30th or the 31st. Remember, everything works in threes. So you want those three events to, make sense. And one little trick that we can do is we can take from one big event to the next big event to the next. And I don't know if this Titan submersible thing is as important on the world stage as some people, I don't know how much prana it really got because I kind of stay away from the mainstream, but we could consider that the first big event would be Silicon Valley Bank and Silvergate Bank and the S banks failing, Credit Suisse essentially having some big issues. Now this coming into the Titan submersible ritual, and then what would be the third event? It really does seem like it's going to be something in August. That's what makes the most sense to me. So getting back to the code, remember all of this shenanigans happened during the 25th week of the year, just like rabbit equals that 25 in full reduction. And all this talk of the Titanic ship and the Titan submersible, this brings us back to the Titans. And one of the 12 Titans was Kronos, obviously the most popular Titan. Kronos is Saturn. Satoshi Nakamoto is Saturn, the mythological creator of Bitcoin. And that's why this is really telling a story here. Remember, back when this Titanic ritual happened in 1912, shortly after we saw the implementation and operation of the Federal Reserve System, and how there was some very influential, successful, and rich men that were on the Titanic when it was ritualized. These men all opposing the Federal Reserve System. What do you know? So this is kind of what's allowing us to see deeper into what's the play here. And you guys are probably well aware that in the month of July, we have Fed Now service coming out. So we're going to talk about that in a moment, but just wanted to bring that up while it was on my mind. So it's interesting how in the same time frame, this Titan submersible goes down, Bitcoin goes up. Think about this. Think about this ritual, guys. And remember what I teach you about my decoding strategy that might differ from others. And what that is I always tell you to watch out for one energy canceling out the other energy. Whether you're watching my sports decodes or you're watching my crypto decodes, or you're watching me decode something more on the world stage, you're going to see that I apply that strategy. So whilst it's very natural when you're a newer decoder, when you're newer to decoding, to think that just because the numbers connect, that it will cause the same exact outcome. And that is not always the case. You have to remember how this New World Order operates. One thing is sacrificed so the energy can live on in another form. That's how it works. And you got to remember that. As above, so below, as within, so without. When you take the energy from one thing, that energy must go somewhere else. Whilst the Titan submersible goes down, Bitcoin price goes up. Bitcoin is tied to the Titan story. We even did a decode on titanium in the periodic table and broke that all down when we were in the 2022 year. So there you go, family. The next big event on the world stage I expect to happen around August 30th through September 1st. And I had plenty of code to explain why. It's either with Joe Biden or with the Balkan nations around Romania, Serbia, which naturally brings up this 2022 Russia-Ukraine conflict into the conversation. And honestly, it could be a mixture of all of these things happening around the same exact time frame to start narratives for the real doozy, which I believe will be around the 22nd anniversary of September 11th and into Rosh Hashanah, which will be the end of Jubilee. So remember, we just had the 111th anniversary of the Titanic sinking ritual, and I was just talking about 9/11, and 9/11 happens on the day leaving 111 days in the year. That being your other huge ritual on the world stage back in 2001, which started to dramatically change this world. That Titanic ritual happening, giving headway to the implementation of the Federal Reserve System, again, changing the whole world and bringing us more into globalism. The 9/11 ritual was to bring us more into globalism. The C-19 pandemic was to bring us more into globalism. The next thing that will happen will be with finances, and will be with restructuring fiat money and how we utilize cash and coins, and that stuff will slowly go away and fade out to the next big change in our world, which will be a cashless society and a blockchain economy. Don't want to be too dramatic here, and there is no FUD behind my words. We're just speaking honestly and with the truth. The truth is hard to swallow, but the truth is what sets us free. So remember that 111 all tied to this, and we had the 111 also in the word New York, which is where that ritual went down. The New York Stock Exchange is in New York. It is the bull. So August 31st is very, very crucial. Also, I'm going to go to 8/31 because it is a blue moon. We have 2 full moons in the same month. Let me show you right here. On August 1st and on August 31st, the first and the last. As they said, what will be first will become last. This is a really special month. August is an incredibly special month. So let me know in the comments if you're interested in a August blue moon decode. And I'm also even thinking about combining this decode with the Fed Now service from the Federal Reserve System, kind of do a partial Fed Now and blue moon decode. I might combine both into just one big presentation at the start of July to kick off the new month. So let me know if you'd be interested in that. I think a lot of people here would be interested, especially because I think it will bode well for things like XRP and really overall crypto. But there's a long-term vision for me to share. There's a lot for me to break down, and I haven't actually dove too deep into Fed Now, so this will be a good opportunity for me to do my research the way I like to do it and bring you guys what I've sifted through and give you the best value possible in the decode. So let me know if you're looking forward to that. I would love to know some of your thoughts. So now moving back to our current time frame, we already had the 4th of July on our radar. I talked about that already, so we don't need to go over that again. But we have 4th of July right here of 2023. I have another mind-blowing thing to share. If we have the 1776 year, which was the official start of the United States independence from Britain, and you tie that over to this 4th of July upcoming, it's going to be 247 years. So let's go over to the periodic table, and you're going to have the element berkelium, which has a 247 atomic mass, and that is your 97th element. And it's named after Berkeley, California, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area, less than 50 miles away from Santa Clara, California, which is where Silicon Valley Bank's headquarters was. Keep this in mind. So guess what? Berkelium is going to give you an important code, 96, the mirror of 69. And as I've said many times, Silicon Valley Bank failed on the 69th day of the year. Queen of England died at 96. Bitcoin all-time high is 69,000. And now here we are. We just had a ritual 69 days after the Titanic sinking ritual event, 111th anniversary. All these rituals are interwoven in a big puzzle, and here we are putting it together. And now with this berkelium find and adding up to 96 in gematria, and we are tying in this 247th element to this. And it's obviously a state in the United States of America where we're talking about the 247th anniversary. I mean, this is seriously insane. So, wow. the fact that this area, Berkeley, is also so close to Silicon Valley, I mean, it's technically not. It's in the Bay Area, but this is like you're splitting hairs here. It's essentially the same place. So it's definitely making me think, keep all of this in mind. So a couple things to say. We have this all about Berkeley. Let me just make sure I'm spelling this right. Let me go over here and just copy this because I want to make sure that we're accurate. Okay, Berkeley giving us 25, just like we're in the year of the rabbit with that 25. And this will be the 247th anniversary of the United States independence on this exact year of the rabbit, tied to Berkelium. Also, Berkeley equaling 83. 83 is your 23rd prime number. Just like we're in the year of 5,783, Hebrew year adds up to 23. Again, in the year 2023, it's all tied together. And what puts the icing on the cake is Berkelium is the 97th element on the periodic table, just like the word crypto gives you that 97. In Gematria, N25, just like Berkeley, by the code. This was all about the upcoming 4th of July that lands on Tuesday. And that will be, Tuesday is the day of Mars having to deal with war, perhaps something to keep in mind. When it comes to getting your freedom, it always is about a blood ritual sacrifice of another nation. It's very sad, but that's the way this realm operates right now in the age of Pisces. So with this being said, perhaps this being on a Tuesday may be an interesting time frame. Also, I should actually look up stock market holidays because I know that this might be a day that the market's closed. So will we get an extended weekend? That's going to be interesting. I should be able to find this pretty easily. Yes, this market will be closed on 4th of July. Holy moly. So are they going to keep it open on Monday? Okay. There you go. I guess the market is going to open up on Monday, July 3rd, and then close down on Tuesday, July 4th. So we don't even have to think about that. That's going to be volatility day galore on Monday, July 3rd, because we're going to have the weekend off, and then we're only going to have that one trading day, lots of speculation, and then going into that following Wednesday, total setup for Independence Day. Let's see what that gives us. 55 in Chaldean, just like Satoshi Nakamoto. Get anything else by the code? 18th prime number. 61 is your 18th prime number. Independence Day is an 18 date numerology. Perfect. So we have that all tying back to that 18 that I was telling you about before with Venus. It's a very popular 18, and it's one of the most important numbers in Judaism. We use the Hebrew calendar a lot here. There's purpose for that. All right, so I just wanted to bring up how that was a date or a window of dates between July 6th and July 10th tied to XRP, which was a 68-day cycle that I told you guys about last week. And that's kind of what brought up this idea of 4th of July for me. And I wanted to share a little bit more with the code with you. And one more thing to mention, I'm sure some of you remember when I spoke about the 22-day cycle for Bitcoin and how they were noticeable during the 2019 automatic rally. And if we were to go off of this date right here, which was June 15th, the low in the current microcycle over 22 days, it's going to bring you to July 7th, which is perfectly in that 68-day time frame of the cross. I'm going to show you right here that I was talking about in that last analysis. It was the cross we got right here of this 55 simple moving average with the 200 simple moving average. And if we measure over, I keep pressing the wrong button. If we measure over 68 days, you're going to see that takes us right there to July 8th. So naturally, as a 2-day candle, that's July 7th, July 8th, and then we could consider, July 9th. After that, again, I was just talking about how 22 days after the cycle lows on Bitcoin is the same exact date. You have July 7th. Okay, so just another thing to keep in mind, how we could combine these two ideas into all of our top cryptos and see kind of how they mix and match with each other and get even stronger analysis. So Let's consider off those recent lows that we've absolutely changed energy in this market. I'm going to be getting into the TA in just a couple moments, but we do need to think about how this is more like 2016 automatic rally than this 2019 automatic rally, which is what I've been saying for a very long time now. And the reason is, in this 2019 automatic rally, we came into the start of the solar cycle, and we entered a downtrend immediately, which lasted a pretty long time. From this top to the C19 crash, we were there for 258 days. Whilst back here, what happened was we actually had a correction after this event. We held sideways for a little bit of time, and then we rose up one last time. And then this was kind of the mark of the ending of our automatic rally, and ultimately a very bullish time frame nonetheless. So I had this theory that even though we had the solar eclipse and the start of the solar cycle for Bitcoin, I was adamant that I do feel we have one more leg up to go in the crypto market. I mean, how many podcasts have I said that same statement? That Bitcoin and crypto, I believe, has one more leg up, except for the projects that already completed their automatic rallies. Been very clear about that. And here it's official now. Within, a very short amount of time, Bitcoin has successfully traded into a new daily close high and a new wick high. So it's confirmed. We are continuing higher highs and higher lows, which is uptrend. There's nothing downtrend about this at all. This pivot here and this new high has confirmed this as a higher low. Very, very, very bullish. We'll be getting back to that in a moment. So even though I talked about the 22-day cycle, I just want to bring up the theory again behind the number 25 and how important it is specifically for Bitcoin. And if we were to do 25 days off of that low, it would bring you to around July 10th. And that is right there at the end of the date range that I shared last week when I was talking about the XRP 2-day cross analysis. So if you take from July 10th, we're just going to have a little bit of fun with this, and you go back to Satoshi Nakamoto's last birthday, since we're talking specifically about Bitcoin, look at how many days it gives us. 96 days. Just like before, we were talking about Berkelium giving us this 96 code. It's so incredible. So 96 days, and we know Bitcoin's all-time high is 69,000. And Satoshi Nakamoto is the creator of Bitcoin, right? And his birthday is the day before the 96th day of the year. So I'm sure that's making some of you think, well, 96 days after the 96th day of the year must be significant. And I agree. That is a very important thing to consider, family. So mark your calendars for July 11th. I believe that is a very powerful day. 96th day of the year, 96 days after. Keep that in mind. We are very, very close to that. So pretty much everything from the 4th of July after that stock market closure, which remember, Bitcoin and crypto are going to be trading alone on that day. And most of you are interested in crypto here. So it's going to be very volatile for the crypto market, I believe, especially on a Tuesday, the day of Mars. Now, I have a couple final things to mention about this, because this is the day before Julius Caesar's birthday, and this month of July being named after him, all right? And also it is the 7-11 date exoterically. That 7-11 is really, really powerful. Also, Bitcoin, I almost forgot, equals 117. That's how you'd write this date internationally. So let's blow everyone's minds again. July, the month we're talking about, gives you a 68. Just like stock gives you 68, just like market gives you 68, July also gives you 68, named after Julius Caesar. So July 11th is the day leaving 173 days in the year. 173 is your 40th prime number. And if we go by the code, let me show you where that number 40 ties into Julius Caesar. 40 is right there in full reduction, and in the same cipher as Mercury gives you 40. His birthday this year lands on a Wednesday, which is the day of Mercury. This is the 193rd day of the year, which is the 44th prime number, and he died in 44 BC on an infamous date called the Ides of March, named after his assassination. Depending on where Bitcoin goes between now and then, we might be celebrating Julius Caesar's birthday this year as crypto investors, and most won't even know why. But here, the Wolfpack knows. So let's get into the charts, do some technical analysis on this market, shall we? I think that this 55 date that he died at on the 55th year, tied to Satoshi Nakamoto, makes room for a much bigger decode to come in the future, especially if this year in the 5783 year, tied to 23, which ties to Bitcoin 23, and all of this 55 coded back to Julius Caesar. If the market goes up into this time frame right around his birthday, that will be mind-blowing. Absolutely insane how this Julius Caesar Roman Empire concept could be utilized for our decodes moving forward. And it's going to be great to look over how my World Reserve Decoded pans out, because I talked a lot about Julius Caesar. I was initially going to call that decode World Reserve Julius. And I went with World Reserve Decoded because I thought it would just be a little bit more easy for people to understand what it would be about. But keep all this stuff in mind, guys. These big player characters on the world stage are just mythological creatures. That's all they are. They are here to be part of his story and to give people these narratives to take over time. And people think the Roman Empire fell and the Roman Empire ended. And I'm here telling you right now, today, the Roman Empire never fell. It is still going on. Everything that this world does right now is Greco-Roman aesthetic with Greco-Roman ritual. It's all the same bread and circus, controlling humanity through law, taxes, all the same systems. Nothing has changed at all. We're still in the Holy Roman Empire. All roads lead to Rome. So let's get over to this Bitcoin chart. We have a little bit to say about this breakout. We were anticipating this recovery and we got it. And it does remind me a lot of this sell-off that we got into March 10th, the day Silicon Valley Bank failed. We have this white trend line now that is showing you from our all-time low area over to this touch on March 10th and over to this recent touch on June 15th. This is a very strong trend. And if this breaks, I do think a bigger correction is due for Bitcoin. But in the meantime, it has been holding now going on, let me just quickly check, 180 days. So this is a very, very strong trend line. We're a half a year now pretty much on this trend since the start of the year. Basically, there you go. Yeah, January 1st is pretty much where this all kicked off, and we've been holding that trend. Amazing. So we had a little bit of like a bull flag concept. A lot of people started to disbelieve the bull flag would be possible because they were in a bearish sentiment. I was not in a bearish sentiment until I saw a break of trend. And this is where a lot of like newer analysts, they get a little too rambunctious with their thesis because they get impatient and they don't want to wait for confirmations. So as you become a more sophisticated trader and analyst, you must be conservative and wait for confirmations. You can't be calling for 20K or lower Bitcoin until you see trend reversal. And this is where people, I think it gets the best of them. And it's when the market maker waits and waits and waits till the moment you start to lose your patience and then they send it in the other direction. They come out with news. They say BlackRock and Fidelity and all these big wigs are applying for ETFs, and they just give you all this bullshit and people swallow it up and think that's the reason why. And whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. Like, as a trader, as an analyst, you have to let the news be news. And in the background, focus on your decodes, focus on your analysis. That's really what's making the market move. We knew that the indices, that the stock market was overheated and it reached all of its automatic rally territory. We did 2 weeks in a row, covering the Dow, covering the S&P, covering the NASDAQ, showing you the completion of the automatic rally, and that we were anticipating this liquidity to flow back into crypto. And it all just catches up. It's like a symphony, okay? And each person's playing their own instrument in this game, whether it's precious metals, cryptocurrencies, penny stocks, or the big, tech stocks. It doesn't really matter. It's all just catching up right now. And we could see that. It's obvious today. So here we are. We see Bitcoin did get to that 31K level, a little bit of rejection, but remember how this breakout went, where we came up into these prior highs right there, and it took us about 4 or 5 days to break officially into a new structure. So with today being Sunday, it's actually good that we're not breaking out, because we don't want additional CME gaps opening. Speaking of CME, let me just pivot over to that real quick, because I talked about this in my last YouTube video. We're pretty much trading right now where CME... Oh, this is beautiful. Yeah, I would rather us close lower. I wouldn't even care if Bitcoin closed today at fucking right now, 30,200 or 30,000 flat. Any daily close today or the weekly close above 30K would be beautiful. Just reduce more of these gaps. I'm not like the biggest gap believer, but they do play out most of the time. And, we were very adamant also about how we tend to at least breach this 0.5 fib in an automatic rally. And here we are, we're like a kiss away from getting to the 0.5 fib. And we have this CME gap here between 34.4 and 35.2. That would be perfect to swipe above that, get to the bottom of this golden pocket, maybe a wick into 40K, nice big psychological level. I just talked about the number 40 before. This is pretty interesting, guys. Remember, I was telling you how 193 equals this 44th prime connected to Julius Caesar, and how the day before, July 11th, 173 is your 40th prime number? That'd be wild if Bitcoin hits 40,000 on July 11th. I'm not saying that's what will happen, but with it 96 days away from the 96th day of this year and all of these 9669 rituals, speaking of Satoshi, we know Saturn equals 69 in Gematria. I'm just saying. What about 93 days before, since that's tied to Saturn by 93 in the code, 93 days after Satoshi's last birthday? That's wild. 7-7. Oh shit, I forgot. Damn, this keeps happening to us during our decodes. This is a 777 date technically, because the year adds up to 223. That's 7. So this Friday is June. Wow. Yo. Wow. Okay. That's big. Satoshi Nakamoto is Saturn. Saturn by the code equals 93. 93 days after Satoshi, Saturn's last birthday is the 777 date. 7 plus 7 plus 7 equals 21. Saturn equals 21. The jackpot. 777. What the fuck? And it's it's the 57th date numerology, just like we had Super Bowl 57. Holy shit, dude. Okay, I need to include this in my new decode, because that's a wild find. We're so dialed in to this. It's madness. It's so good that I take my time to just allow the randomness to unfold, because the chaos is really what makes these podcasts so special. And I've had people say before, they're like, this isn't a podcast. I'm like, yeah, this is literally the most podcast of all time. We're touching it all. We're not just regurgitating news. We're actually being creative here. We're utilizing a system. This is art. This is not your normal TA channel. We're going deep and going hard in the paint right here. But yeah, this is a wild connection. I'm being serious right now. July 7th, 777 date on a Friday, Freya day. Madness. Okay, I got to get back on the rails here, because that's a wild find. But, okay. Let me just final thoughts on the CME. I was talking about this cross. Oh, another thing to keep in mind is 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. So imagine Bitcoin hits 34,300 on 7/7. Yo, that'd be so crazy if that happened. That would be right at the bottom of the CME gap. We're just having fun right now. We're just having fun, but that's funny. So, all right, I know we're taking some time on this podcast, but I know the real ones out there really value this sort of stuff because this is very rare when you find these gems, especially live with no planning. So I'm pretty confident we're gonna get those upper CME gaps, and I'm also confident that this year we have big opportunity for filling this downside gap. That would actually be welcomed. I would love to have an opportunity to de-risk above this 35 level into the 37, 38, a little bit of my positions, and then buy back in at the 20. You know, that's basically you're selling the 40 and then you're buying back at a 50% discount. That's gorgeous. So anyways, let's move on to just a couple of the key things like weekly analysis with none of this noise. We're just going to analyze the candles right now. Technically on the weekly, we are about to have a continuation candle. As long as we could close above 30,300, we're pretty much right there. Let me look at okay, we're above the 8 simple. We have the 200 simple, 200 exponential sloping to the upside. That's very good. We have all EMAs in bullish posture. We have the 13 above the 21 above the 34, all sloping to the upside. That's very, very positive. We already had we have our bi-weekly close coming in next week, so we'll touch on that when that time comes. What's going on? Okay, beautiful 5-day candle. This is a new high on the 5-day candles as of yesterday. Okay, so that recent 5-day candle has now solidified a new high in the structure. RSI is only at 63. That's barely anything. EMAs are looking gorgeous. We have this 200 simple moving average at 34K. So think about what I said, guys. The 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. That's kind of like my way of thinking that the next upside target for Bitcoin is 34,300. Tied to the 777, which 7 plus 7 plus 7 equals 21, which is the number of Saturn. That's Saturn code. 5 days looking gorgeous. 3-day, oh my, we have not closed above a 200 simple moving average 3-day candle in a long time. Holy moly. Okay, so the last time we did this was the last time we did this in this posture was right here at the end of this automatic rally of 2019. And how did this go? Got 42 days after. I mean, that's pretty long time from today. Let's see where that would put us now, 42 days after. Ooh, right there into the beginning of August. How insane would that be, guys? Because remember, we were talking about that ritual of the end of July into early August. Sorry. We were talking about that ritual at the end of August. So if we were to have anything push up into early August, that still keeps us in like a more positive territory. Nothing out of the cards. That would be right around the full moon, the first full moon of August. Weird, but you know, something I'm open to. Hey man, I have so many days to live in my life. I don't know about you guys, but the people that are losing their mind about like the minutia over the month of May or April or any of this stuff, it's like, you're gonna live, man. Be patient. It's funny. I think so many people in this community are so beautiful and became so strong and more independent and more self-reliant. I think the overwhelming majority of you became more hardened individuals over this time, and your investment thesis just got to the elite level by making it through this past week, while so many people fucking panic sold. Too many. And they were being dramatic the whole time and like losing their minds. And it's like, don't you have a long-term thesis, and isn't it worth just being calm in the process? Like, what do you really have to lose? You know, what do you have to lose here? You could always just hold. And that's always my, response to this. When the market started to go down, I don't really care, because I have a long-term outlook. And if you're putting in more money to the point where it's hurting you in the short term, then that means you put in too much money. You need to learn how to develop a effective investment strategy. So again, I teach all of this in the Crypto Mastermind course, which includes the exit strategy blueprint, and that will fill you in on all the methods to make sure that you could do this conservatively, effectively, and be profitable in the process without these Hail Mary passes and hopium and, trying to get rich quick, because that's not how this works. A lot of the people that get rich quick get broke even faster. So a couple of things to mention about this is this big, event of closing a 3-day above a 200 simple candle. The last time we were above it was back in April of 2022. It's a pretty long time ago, guys, over a year. So that's huge. All of these EMAs are sloping to the upside, except for the moving average we just crossed above the 200 simple. It's all good. 2-day. Okay, we just got a wolf cross of the 8 simple above the 55 on the 2-day. This is a really positive sign. Now getting the 8 simple above the 13 exponential would be next, and then these will all start moving slowly into a more bullish posture. We have this 200 exponential sloping slightly to the upside now, and this 200 simple flatlining at about 22 on the bottom. Now, that's a really positive thing, because let me go back in the past and see. Yeah, okay, so this is what I was going to say. This is the end of your automatic rally of 2019, and you see how you gravitated to this dark green moving average, and we held trend. We held higher highs, higher lows. So this 200 simple is a good level in the future for us to keep in mind for reaccumulating. And Bitcoin right now, it's sitting at about 22. That'd be so funny if it finishes off the 2023 or the 23 Hebrew year at 23, like perfectly 23,000, and then like dips down really quickly for a spring and then keeps moving. That'd be beautiful. Shakeout. Okay, so yeah, this is looking prime. Let's look at the daily. Daily is beautiful. We have the 8 above the 13, above the 21, above the 34, above the 55, back tested the 200, perfect bounce, and the 200 is sloping fast to the 200 simple is sloping fast to the upside. This is gorgeous. Now we just got an RSI read slightly above the prior highs of March. That's looking very good considering it's clearing a divergence. Yep. It's pretty much clearing a divergence, so we're good. We're sky high. We could get this RSI to 90 now. I would love to see it. Let's get it to 90. Yep. 88 to 90. Straight line. It doesn't matter. This just needs to get through. What's going on right now, guys, I'm going to be very honest, is too many people were bearish over this, 3 months of downtrend, and returning 2 months or so of downtrend, and ultimately how many months of sideways? 3 months of sideways. Getting into this 24 level started to freak people out, and way too many people opened up shorts, and this right here is to just squeeze them. I'm just being honest. That's how this game works. So they're going to squeeze them till they're liquidated. The liquidations will start coming in heavy around 32, 33, and then it'll pop probably into the high 30s. And that's really going to be where a lot of noobs start jumping in on longs, and they're going to turn it around them. So I've been vocal that 40K is possible. Getting above 40K would be really wild at this time, solely because where's that money coming from? So, unless a miracle happens, and we'll touch base there when we see it. But for the most part, I guess we do have a lot to analyze though, because this 2015 cycle, if we continue, not just the 2015, but the 2015 through 2016 cycle, if this continues to mimic what happened last time, I mean, wow, that'd be amazing. If we just keep riding the 200 exponential the whole way. I don't think it'll be that easy though. Anyways, let's move on to ETH really quickly, and then XRP. We don't have a lot to say on ETH at this time because it's pretty much, again, it's the same song as Bitcoin. Oh, wow. Wick rejections all around 1,933, about 3 days out of the last 4 trading days, and that's really squeezing together in this level. So yeah, we do need conditions above 1,991 and a daily close to officially confirm this as a spring, and that is an SOS. So let me break this down phase by phase for you. Over here, you have your buying climax. I would like to call here your selling climax and your automatic rally, but typically what happens when we're only looking at about couple months? Yeah, we're only looking at about 70 days. You have your swing high to this low is your buying climax to selling climax, automatic rally. And then here you have a failure of your support, which is a spring. And then this buyback here is your test. And then you break by clearing this prior automatic rally. You call that your SOS. And that would require $2,000 or more ETH. So the reason ETH is not catching up to Bitcoin where it should be around, technically ETH should actually be trading at 2,100 right now. The reason it isn't is because Bitcoin dominance is parabolically breaking out lately. Again, not positive for alts. I've talked about this over the last 6 months, why I do not change the way I allocate a percentage of my portfolio at any time of the cycle, because ultimately having at least 50% to 60% Bitcoin is, in the grand scheme of things, the best position to be in. And this again proves it. So I don't know if I could be 100% certain that by having Bitcoin continue to rally into about 40K and seeing this dominance to break into maybe 54%, 53%, if that will roll over into the alts, nobody really knows. I think we're kind of in this energy right now where big money is only really interested in Bitcoin, and a lot of the altcoins have, for the most part, gotten so washed out, and retail is not interested in them, and big money was never interested in them. So it furthers me in my thesis of focusing on the ISO 222 compliant tokens, primarily just what I believe is the winning horse, which is XRP and Ethereum and Bitcoin, and just locking it in there. Of course, I have smaller positions in Theta, VeChain, Zilliqa, Cardano, but I don't really have enough in them to be sweating it. So it's more venture capital almost at the end of the day. Now, the ETH play here is what I just told you before. I'm sticking with basic Wyckoff analysis, as I tend to, and anything above 2,000, you're looking for a retest quickly into 2,100. And, I think that there is a possibility for a 2,300 ETH to 2,400 ETH in this next move up if ETH is able to make another move up. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. So I think XRP right now is just trapped. We know how XRP is. It's holding this level. I mean, I would really like it to get above 50 cents, ideally above 54. The analysis doesn't change from last week. I just really have nothing new to say about it because of where it's trading at right now. Very suppressed still. And we have the technical levels. They've not changed. One thing I can say is there's an obvious support trend line right here. And we could be coming into a triangle of sorts. It looks very ugly, but this could give you a little bit of a play here, perhaps from here to this 236 fib I have marked. Let me get off of, yeah, this isn't even going to be, I could... At best, I'm giving this. Okay. So this idea of a ugly triangle gets you about 61 cents. Not horrible. I had this marked out right here at 61.8 for a good reason. So that's your next move. 61.8 is the next move up. And then I do think this trend line right here is going to be holding as a pretty strong support. Boom, there you go. From the local cycle low up through everything in March to what happened in May. Let me maybe bring it a little bit over to be fair, like there. And we're getting pretty close to the apex of this pattern now, if that is the play. So it's not the cleanest on earth, but it's because XRP keeps making these Bart Simpson patterns, and it's never a clean pattern play. It's always more a breakout, trade sideways at the tops and then come down pretty harsh and making these crown top distribution over and over and over again. So let's move over to XLM, which kind of really just follows XRP for the most part. Really violent V-shaped recovery recently. That's really interesting to see it trading down at 7 cents. So again, my words of wisdom that I rather just bet on the winning horse by going with XRP is still making the most sense here. I don't really see merit in the thesis of having equal amounts of XRP and XLM. I don't agree with that. I think that's a bad idea, personally. My investment thesis is to have a little bit of XLM just for, insurance purposes, I suppose. But I'm still primarily on XRP as my main play out of the ISOs. And I do have room for the idea of quant, but I'm not going to get there now. Anyways, getting back to XLM, I don't love this chart, and I do think there's an opportunity for a touchdown into 0.6 and 0.6 cents flat. So in the meantime, we've been having trouble even getting above the 236. That's not good. There has been no automatic rally energy at all. We had a blow off top, which led you to a bull trap. And this bull trap, once it broke trend right here below the golden pocket area, we started to dramatically sell off with lower highs, lower lows over and over again for a very long amount of time, pretty much one straight year. Longer than a year, 600 days, wow. And with no real recovery energy at all in the process. So what we want to see for a confirmed automatic rally is trading above the 382 fib. We're not even close. So even being below the 236 is not healthy. This is not a good looking chart. People in the XRP community and the ISO, community and people who study this, they have so many great things to say about stellar lumens, and I'm just a chart analyst. I've reviewed enough that I need to be competent in what's going on with this technology, but at the end of the day, yuck, what a chart. This is why I'm not really too confident in putting in large amounts of money in this play. And if we look at what we saw back here with the C19 crash, this will be the last thing I say to kind of make sense of it all, because some people might be like, well, Waters, I know so much about XLM. Show me more things in the charts that makes you feel the way you feel. Well, here we are. This is your C19 crash. If I went through this cluster of trading days right around 4 cents to where we are right now, this thing is only up 130% from the pretty much average trading days of the biggest crash we had in cryptocurrency. Now let's go over to Bitcoin, which is supposed to be the slowest mover, the slug. We're going to go from the same range. Actually, I'll be even more nice, and I'll go from a little bit higher. And we're going to measure off, and we're going to see the difference. Bitcoin is 350% up from those levels, and I was being kind by pushing it up a couple of $1,000s more. So you see, let's look at the overall performance from that cluster up to the all-time highs in the last cycle. And I'm not even going to, I'm just going to go into the range of all-time highs. That's 1,000%. What's XLM working with here? From the same cluster up, got about almost 2,000%, and it lasted about 3 days. And then it came down. Bitcoin came up twice, gave you 2 opportunities, and it gave you probably about 60 to 70, maybe even 90 days total to de-risk at those levels. Whilst this was just chop, 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 and then a huge sell-off. Now, since it's sold off 91%, that's really not so nice. It didn't even break the all-time high. Whilst Bitcoin was 20,000 here, it went up to 69,000 on the next cycle. So you see how underperforming these projects are, and all I need to do is look at a chart to quickly determine this is not something to be confident throwing in large percentages of money. It's a trader's coin. If you're trading it and you know how to get in and out, then it's great. Ultimately, if you have that skill, you could do really well. But when it comes to investing, this is not a positive experience for investors. This is mostly just down, sideways, and hoping for the best, without long-term data to prove its worth. I mean, it did have an amazing run back here. This is an insane run. Whoever was in it, congratulations. I don't think anyone was, though. This must have been a very interesting time to be even aware of cryptocurrency, as well as being an investor and aware. Most people weren't even aware of Bitcoin back then, let alone stellar lumens. So I know we all wish we had time travel machines, but we don't. So moving forward, I do think XLM could have a new all-time high in the future into late 2024, early 2025, if this can be treated as a macro automatic rally. So this would be your macro buying climax. This would be your macro selling climax. This would be your macro automatic rally. And then what would be next is your macro SOS phase. The problem here is we tend to have a spring, and a spring could be coming in different forms. Now, I don't know if Stellar Lumens, given where it stands in the global economy as a player in this game, I don't think it's going to go lower than 2 cents. But that's what springs sometimes bring you. So could it be a double bottom on the C19 crash in the month of October? It's possible. It's very possible, especially comparing the way XRP has been moving lately to the way XLM's been moving. XRP has been looking much, much better in the chart. So I'm going to leave it at that. My words of wisdom, moreover, is this is more of a trader's project until clarity comes in. And for now, it could be a decent buying opportunity, but I believe that in October, there will be better buying opportunities. So I'd rather be patient, just wait it out. And that pretty much goes for most things at this time. Now, one last thing to say is XLM, I don't think is going anywhere. So I would feel much more confident being an XLM than I would in fucking Pepe coin or whatever bullshit that people are, the shiny objects. So I'm just being real about this play of XLM. I'm trying to be as thorough as I can. I'm not picking sides here. There's no tribalism. And I also own a little bit of it, but not enough to get worried if it continues to drop more and more. And if it gets down into my 6 cent levels or even lower, I might consider dollar cost averaging when that time comes. Now we're moving over to Zen. Well, we're going to be quick with this chart because first and foremost, we don't really have too much data. We have about less than a year of data. I went over this because a lot of votes came in for it. And this, I'll be very blunt and say, is one of the worst charts I've ever looked at. Free falling from about 1 penny on many charts that I was able to see. This one was just the cleanest. Quick spike up to another drastic sell-off, very drastic sell-off. 99.94%. Just pull the tooth out already. Pull the tooth out. What is this thing? Mamma mia. There's your makeshift automatic rally, followed by a additional 84% sell-off. Yeah, this is a shit coin. People might get mad. Is this tied to some ecosystem that people care about? Because if it is, the chart says that whatever you learned, it's unimportant. This seems like something that a big influencer would talk about enough to get people to be aware of it, and then that's at best what it is. It's just known by a particular influencer that was shilled to communities. Please let me know in the comments section if there's anything worth mention in this project that has continually went down from a 99.99% loss, because this thing is just a couple of decimal places away from going to Hades. I mean, damn, this could effectively just go to zero. Why not at this point? It's pretty much there. I did see charts where it was trading at a penny at one time, and now it has given birth to more zeros than I'm not even gonna say it. Yeah, this is pretty bad. So yeah, you can't do analysis on these projects, guys. I mean, at best, let me show you a couple things, just so it's not all comedy. Okay, so you had an attempt at support, bounce, hanging out around this range, rejection coming up into that level, rejection confirms it as no longer a support, which it used to be. Now it is effectively a resistance, a larger sell-off down, I mean, really, really deep for a while too, and then getting sucked back into the same levels, another harsh rejection followed by an 84% sell-off. That's not confidence. This is just, yeah. So I'm going to leave it at that. This is not good at all. There is no fib I could really pull on it. If it was one-time trading at a cent, which I assume that's about where you would start a new project anyways. My God. So we have the fib-based log setting turned on, and we could see that the 236 fib is right there at that rejection. That's a very weak thing to see. If you can't even get above your 382, you know, that's kind of what I was saying about the XLM chart and why I didn't like that, because it couldn't get back above the 236. It was actually getting rejected at that level. Yeah. All right. Really nothing to say about that. This is a distraction. Moving on. And also, if this stays around, there's going to be an insane amount of upside potential if it can perhaps get bought back. But if it makes it through September and October, if it cannot, well, we'll wait and see what it does in September, October. But that's like kind of the time frame where I would expect this thing to give up a couple more zeros, because what is it worth? So if it could make it through till 2024, then the upside potential is pretty gnarly. You're looking at just getting back to 1 cent would be 300,000%. So putting in $100 in this to just fuck around, have fun. That's not financial advice, but this isn't something that I would bet the farm on. Okay, now we're going over to Cardano. Big dumpy dump for Cardano a couple of weeks ago. I think that was when the SEC started to, show its feathers. This thing has also been on quite a dramatic sell-off. We're looking at 92 total percent, pretty normal. Even for the bigger cap coins, which isn't Cardano like 5th market cap? It's 7th. Yeah, I mean, these stable coins kind of mess up the data. But yeah, it's like effectively the 5th. Got Bitcoin, ETH, BNB, XRP. Wow. Yeah. I marked this level of 0.15 to 0.18, about 15 to 18 cents, and I would really like that level to hit. I see that coming in and around October, and to me that would make a lot of sense because you have your buying climax, selling climax, or really uneventful AR, followed by a spring that goes up into a textbook SOS, which backtests the prior automatic rally in your backup. That's really nice and really builds a lot of confidence, especially if you can clear those highs. So right around there, into this range that I have marked off, was a time to go long, because you have all the confirmations that I just said. And then look, you're about 2,000% play. So pretty nice. And if you were dollar cost averaging all around between the 236 fib and this level right here, let's just say, you're looking at about 4,000% gain. So way better than the XLM play. You had way more time to get out and ultimately held its highs for much longer too. So yeah, still a pretty ugly chart though. I do not like this Cardano chart as of lately. Again, perpetual downtrend. Can't get back above the 236, so it has some similarities to the XLM chart, and again, really not a whole lot of positive things. Now, one difference I would assume right here is one of the things I would assume is that it's better. Sorry. Let me drink some water. A lot of talking. Get back on the rails. 1 second. Okay. What I wanted to say was that it's a much more positive price today comparatively to this V-shape C19 crash, and we'll take off of this range right there to where we're at today, and you could see we're about 870% up, whilst that XLM chart is only about, 130% up. So again, looking like a much stronger altcoin to be in when you're looking at just overall performance cycle to cycle. Also, it made a new all-time high. Whilst XLM didn't. Just interesting, right? How a coin like XLM with such a big community behind the XRP army and all of this, it didn't really have such a good year. And it also didn't have the SEC coming after it. It had no real reason to be suppressed the way that it did. So is it just following along XRP? If that's the case, then that's kind of sad because it didn't even outperform it. Now, with this being said, I don't really have too much to say about upside until we could break this 236, and ultimately the 382 is your AR area. I don't know if we can get back higher than that. If we go to the last cycle from the swing high to the swing low, let me just double check that the fib setting is turned on. It is. We got right slightly below the 382 fib, and if that was to mimic again, that would be like 58 cents. So pretty much right here, around 55 to 59 cents would be the next upside target based on prior performance. How quickly did we pump up from low to 116? Okay, yeah, I don't think this has enough time. Yeah, this is really not looking so good. So, yeah, I'll just keep it to that. I'm more interested and intrigued by the future buying targets. As for this coin recovering, it's not looking so hot, and clearly it's getting ritualized as we speak. Wonder if Cardano or ADA or any of this code comes back into any big numbers. Oh, 23. So yeah, this is the year for it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a good year, obviously. And the all-time high was 303? Was it 303? 303, 33. That's funny. Where else did I see this 29? I saw this 29 somewhere else. 29 could also be perceived as 2 nines, which is 99. That 99 comes back to Jupiter. It's a little bit more esoteric, but anyways. Cardano, yeah, that 23 and the 56. It got tiger yeared, that's for sure. I just brought up the 56 cent target around that area, 56 to 58 cents. So it could be where it ends in the year 2023, because the lows so far are coming in pretty much. Yeah, that could be the high for 2023. That would be perfect. You have your 56 cents in the 2023 year. Let's see how it goes for Cardano. But yeah, that's technically just mimicking the same move that it did back in the last automatic rally. And this spring right here would essentially be effectively measuring to the same lows of the spring. And that ties perfectly in our thesis of lows into October. Let's go to OX protocol. I don't know if I've ever covered this project before, by the way. Maybe I have. Whoa, okay, so ultra sideways. Now this is your C19 crash going off of this fractal right here. It's only up 30%, and if you go off of this same area, we've effectively backtested that back in the beginning of this year. Horrifying project to be invested in because it's just chopped around and it hasn't really made much progress. This is your 2018 top, this is your 2021 top, so it never went into price discovery. It's just trapped in a huge horizontal trading range that looks like this. There we are. That's your horizontal lows that we have to consider as our supports. And then here is around our median. And then on the upside, we have this band right here. Boom. So that's kind of where you're working with. And we have not left this horizontal trading range going back to 2017. So in 2017, where was Bitcoin trading? Fuck. This thing has not made any progress. Very interesting. When you see projects like this where you're like, what were you doing this whole time? Okay, let's pull a fib. So we couldn't get above the 382, which is right here in this recent time frame. So we're looking at a macro Wyckoff right now. We go to the weekly and you have buying climax, selling climax, automatic rally, kinda, but this is just a huge double top, which is not good, and a confirmed double top now that you've returned down to the bottom. So if this cannot hold the 14 cent level and then effectively the 12 cent level, it could continue down. We could have lower lows for this project into the end of this year possibly because of how weak it is. So keep in mind, your range is between this blue line and this blue line. And if you break below this blue line on macro closes, the weekly, bi-weekly, etc., you can anticipate this to slide into 10 cents and even lower in the future. So yeah, I would not invest in this project personally because it's a very weak chart and ultimately boring. Sideways since 2017, and we're moving into 2024. So we're going over to Monero. Okay, so I've done some analysis on Monero. I don't know when. I miss doing these parallel channels. I used to love doing parallel channels. I'll start using them again because they are helpful. Oh, nice. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is, let me adjust. It should be like about right here. I have a fib pull that is swing low to swing high. Okay, let me go to the daily. So the fib pull is swing low to swing high. It's done in reverse on purpose. And you can see right here is your 1618, which is around $93. We essentially touched 97 on our lows. So that's really nice. We pretty much accomplished the selling climax in this project. Wow, it topped out all the way back in May 2021 and then also did not go to a double top recovery. So let's look at a couple of the other things we've been liking to check out. Violent crash from the C19 crash. Wow. But taking off this fractal up to where we are today, about 300%. So that's kind of similar to the Bitcoin play, not as bad as some of the other projects. Again, this one had an insane bull run back in the day. Didn't mimic that in the next cycle, obviously, because it just did a big double top. Now we have perhaps what could be a humongous bull flag. If I was to do weekly and I turned this to an area chart, this would be the way I would do this. If you guys want to take notes, you kind of get an idea how I would personally play this bull flag, and it would be like this from the weekly closures. And I would like to go off the absolute lows in the target, which, let me see if I get any on this flag. I'm going to pull it down conservatively as much as I can, and I think that would be better on, there you go, with the actual wicks. So this takes me to about $1,200. Now let me pull a long-term fib. I'm actually going to delete this now so you could see where I'm going. No, that shouldn't be like that. It should be like this. And it would be better to actually take it more local. Yep, that's exactly what I meant to do. But I would like to take a long-term. Okay, I'm going to remind myself to do a long-term one too, like a more macro one for the whole entirety of the cycle. This is just me showing you for right now, like a couple of things to consider. Okay, so I adjusted a couple times just because I wanted to make sure we are being accurate. We have a fib pull swing high to swing low. We have this bull flag concept sending us into about 1440 on the 1618, and also the flag itself. We were conservatively pulling that flag, by the way. If we were to do it all the way off the lows to the absolute top, it would change the story and it would bring us, you could see. So it just gives us a range. But that 1440 area from Monero would be a nice, juicy upside target to have if we enter price discovery. That would be your first big level to the top. It's looking pretty clean right now, considering that we have broken out of the outside resistance from this that's been in play now for, let me show you, 777 days. It's been a long time coming. So now let's get to the Wyckoff method. We have our buying climax, selling climax, kind of an automatic rally in the cards if we could get above the 382, which we never did. So we want to get above the $185 level, and really to start getting excited, and this might not happen until late 2024, would be breaking above the 786. I kind of went super macro on this analysis, but it's just because I had that bull flag idea. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And I'm actually going to wrap up this podcast now. Final words are, we have a horizontal range right here, coming in at $131. It's pretty obvious. You have a touch, multiple rejections here, and then returning back to this level, one last touch, and then recently, before we've started to break out, 131 is a crucial level. So could it go like this, where we swipe into like 200 flat? Or maybe 209, like something like this for Bitcoin's final move up, and then come back down to the level, rejection on the 236, break into your lower targets, which will align on the median line of this parallel channel. Let me show you. And I want people to take a screen cap of this. When I'm done. So coming up a little bit, maybe into this peak right there or the 0.5 fib, then getting rejected, coming back down to the same horizontal level, then jumping another leg lower to a spring in your cycle from 2021 moving forward, retesting the median line of this parallel channel, which still kind of puts you in a technical horizontal trading range. That would be your spring. And then it would come up, maybe an inverse head and shoulders idea. Then you have this move here of your SOS in the long-term backup phase, and then boom, head up into about 1400 as your first big move. Now, if you measure off the last cycle and see what's up off your lows, you have about 2000% or so off of these lows. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It's about 2,000% also. So I do think that's the conservative next move for Monero. I don't expect coins to be making these insane bull runs like they used to back here. You look at how much it went up. It went up 120,000%. I think that's done, but I think this analysis of an idea for Monero going up to 1440 in the future is very possible, especially if privacy coins stay around and there's a community that continues. But one of the things that people probably heard me say in the past is I'm not super adamant that privacy coins will, especially the OG coins, whether they're privacy coins or not, but like Monero and Bitcoin Cash. And right now I'm talking about the coins that were involved in like 2016, 2017 that didn't get as much popularity in the 2020 and 2021 cycle. You have Dash, Digibyte, so there's just not enough prana in the news going towards these projects anymore. They don't get the hype like things like Shiba Inu and Dogecoin and Pepe get, So you have to be aware of that. When we're making an investment thesis, if it doesn't have that hype and it's not really performed in this 2020 cycle, then I wouldn't get too excited moving into the next cycle. So if this can go into price discovery, anyone who's holding onto it should be very, very happy to get even 1,000 into 1,400. That would be very, very positive. But, I would just still be cautious in allocating it across my overall portfolio. I probably would not go more than 5% in this thing. So I'm going to leave it at that. We went over so much today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us throughout the entirety of this podcast. If you made it all the way to the end, I hope you took notes. And I'm looking forward to this upcoming 4th of July. And like I said, we could be celebrating on Julius Caesar's birthday this year. Just a joke, of course, but we had a lot of decode to prove that there is some energy that's been giving us relief as of lately, and it will require, I think, a little more time, a couple more weeks. And that big date at the end of August, I think, is something for us all to ponder. And perhaps if you guys have any notes about that end of the August timeframe moving into September, please feel free to share it with me and let me know in the comments below if you're interested in that Fed Now and August Blue Moon decode. I'm hoping to get that out in the beginning of July and looking forward to doing the next podcast with you guys. Much love.